18 shocking revelations about Princess Anne's hidden life await those who dare look beyond the carefully cultivated image of the no-nonsense, straight-talking daughter of Queen Elizabeth II, a woman whose public persona barely begins to reflect the fascinating and often controversial existence she has led behind palace walls. From a wild teenage rebellion against the very traditions her family stood for, to unconventional romantic entanglements that would raise eyebrows in any era, Princess Anne's life has unfurled through decades of surprising twists and turns. Despite her seemingly laconic and reserved appearance, this princess has quietly forged her own path, defying the rigid expectations placed upon her since birth and making waves in a world that demands composure and conformity. Now, as we explore these revelations, the public has never truly seen her as more than the famously forthright royal. Yet her secret struggles, scandals, and gutsy moves, many hidden beneath layers of protocol, are guaranteed to change how you view this figure who once seemed so straightforward. You'll never look at this noble princess the same way again. The first revelation centers on her romantic entanglements, a domain that has ignited intense media scrutiny and endless public fascination. Unlike the fairy tale couplings often expected of royalty, Anne's love life has been anything but conventional. Rumors swirled around her alleged affair with the Olympic equestrian Richard Meade in the 1970s, a situation made all the more scandalous by the fact that both Anne and Meade were married at the time. Equally intriguing was her connection to Andrew Parker Bowles, a man who would later marry Camilla, the very woman who became the Duchess of Cornwall and eventually Queen Consort, leaving a trail of complex personal histories entwined around the House of Windsor. These rumored relationships did more than generate gossip. They challenged the neatly packaged image of a dutiful princess, adding layers of emotional complexity to a personal life lived under unceasing public expectations. In navigating these delicate liaisons, Anne confronted not only the rigid codes of royal behavior, but the universal tension between obligation and desire that even royal blood cannot fully mitigate. Moving forward, we encounter the second revelation, her marriage to Captain Mark Phillips in 1973. By all accounts, this union was seen as a modern and somewhat groundbreaking choice, since Phillips was a commoner and an Olympic gold medalist in equestrian events, rather than a prince of foreign blood or an aristocrat from a long-established lineage. Their wedding seemed a hopeful sign that the British monarchy was evolving, embracing more relatable love stories that resonated with an increasingly modern public. However, what unfolded behind closed doors bore little resemblance to a fairy tale. Personal issues soon surfaced, and allegations of infidelity cast dark shadows over their marital home. The relentless public scrutiny and relentless pressures of royal life only deepened the cracks. After nearly 20 years and 2 children, Peter and Zara, Anne and Mark's relationship collapsed, culminating in a highly publicized divorce in 1992. This painful dissolution shattered the illusion of perfect royal marriages that the public so often clung to, reminding everyone that even a princess could grapple with heartbreak, disillusionment, and the messy dissolution of dreams. The third revelation provides yet another remarkable pivot in her life's narrative. After the storm of her first marriage and its implosive end, Anne found love again with Timothy Lawrence, a former equerry, essentially a personal attendant, to Queen Elizabeth II. Their relationship initially raised eyebrows, as Lawrence had served within the royal household during Anne's first marriage, leaving many to wonder what kind of emotional complexities lay beneath this new romance. Yet, undeterred by the potential controversies and the quiet whispers in royal corridors, Anne and Timothy married in 1992, mere months after her divorce was finalized. This time, their union emerged cloaked in a more private and stable atmosphere, a deliberate departure from the intense media scrutiny and relentless spotlight that plagued her previous relationship. Instead of the dramatic headlines and fevered speculation that had so often haunted her personal life, Anne and Timothy adopted a relatively low-profile existence, proving that it was indeed possible to find a quieter happiness within the gravitational field of the monarchy. These first glimpses into her hidden life already reveal a pattern. Anne does not always follow the script set out for her by centuries of tradition and expectation. Whether testing the boundaries of royal romance, marrying a non-royal Olympic champion, or choosing a second husband whose presence in the royal fold was laden with delicate implications, she has repeatedly demonstrated a willingness to bend or break the rules without ever losing her hallmark forthrightness. It is precisely this combination of honesty, courage, and understated defiance that has allowed Anne to carve out her own distinct identity. By acknowledging her rumored affairs that risked scandal, openly confronting the painful reality of a failed marriage when the world expected her to maintain a facade, and daring to commit herself again to love under unconventional circumstances, Princess Anne reminds us that even those born into the stratosphere of royal privilege must navigate a landscape of human emotions, personal longings, and risky choices. The British monarchy may be anchored in centuries-old protocols and elaborate ceremonies, but Anne's story makes it clear that beneath the surface, a princess can yearn, rebel, falter, and find a new way forward, just as any other individual might. In the midst of the British monarchy's storied halls, where ancient traditions stand shoulder to shoulder with modern pressures, Princess Anne's life narrative often diverges sharply from those of her more famously glamorous relatives. Consider, for instance, her relationship with her sister-in-law, Princess Diana. Throughout the 1980s and early 1990s, the tension between Anne and Diana was not a mere footnote, but a living symbol of the royal family's internal struggles as it approached the close of the 20th century. On one hand, Diana embraced the spotlight with a kind of radical empathy that challenged many of the monarchy's rigid conventions, using her platform to highlight social injustices, to connect openly with the public, and to redefine what it meant to be a royal in a media-saturated age. On the other hand, Anne remained steadfastly committed to a more traditional duty-bound approach, carrying centuries of precedent on her shoulders with a quiet relentlessness. While Diana might use the camera's lens to forge an emotional bond with the world, Anne viewed the limelight warily, preferring to fulfill her obligations with minimal fanfare. This stark contrast in styles, Diana's warm and personable outreach set against Anne's cool reserve, led to misunderstandings that simmered behind palace doors. The two women, though related by marriage, represented clashing visions of what the royal family could or should be. Rumors of disagreements or even outright arguments circulated, pointing to an uneasy balancing act within the House of Windsor, as if each princess symbolized opposing currents running through the monarchy. One current seeking a more heartfelt connection with modern Britain, and another preserving a stoic old-world dignity that had sustained the crown for generations. Yet even as these private tensions brewed, Anne never allowed personal frictions to derail her unwavering dedication to public service. Throughout personal turmoil and controversies that might have floored a less resilient character, she remained one of the most industrious figures in the royal family. Observers, journalists, and insiders have often marveled at Anne's phenomenal work rate. Year after year, She consistently tops the charts for the highest number of annual engagements, traveling ceaselessly across the United Kingdom and beyond. In an era when some royals face criticism for inactivity or detachment, Anne's tireless efforts have earned her respect from unlikely quarters, including those who are critical of the very concept of monarchy itself. She attends local community events, supports countless charities, and represents the monarchy in global forums with a brisk efficiency that eschews glamour for substance. Her energy and diligence have inspired many to view her less as a figurehead and more as a fully engaged public servant, a daughter of Elizabeth II, who inherited not just the pomp of heritage, but the essence of responsibility. This capacity for rigorous effort, remarkable though it may be, is not confined to civic functions alone. Anne's equestrian achievements, long a source of personal pride, are also emblematic of her disciplined character. From a tender age, she displayed a preternatural bond with horses, spending countless hours perfecting her riding technique. While some royals might have contented themselves with leisurely horse rides on country estates, Anne took her passion to an entirely different level, carving out a competitive career that culminated in representing Great Britain at the highest sporting echelons, including the 1976 Montreal Olympics. In 1971, she achieved a landmark triumph by winning the European Eventing Championship, besting some of the world's finest riders. Her success resonated far beyond the stables. It inspired generations of young riders and showcased a royal who did not rely on titles and privileges to earn admiration, but rather on sheer grit and skill. In a family known for its ceremonies and traditions, Anne's equestrian prowess brought a new dimension of national pride, convincing many that royalty could stand shoulder to shoulder with common citizens in fair competition on the global stage. Yet for all her public endeavors, her tireless charity work, her athletic feats, her extensive travel schedule, Anne has consistently maintained a stance of deliberate media avoidance. In an age when the private lives of royals are relentlessly scrutinized, dissected, and served up to a public eager for drama, Anne's refusal to engage with the media circus stands out as a deliberate act of self-preservation. She has watched the torment that comes from press intrusion, the relentless flashbulbs, the probing questions, the whispered rumors that can bloom into sensational headlines overnight. Determined to protect herself and her loved ones, she has kept personal matters firmly off limits, refusing to open her world to the press. This approach has earned her both praise and censure. Admirers argue that her commitment to privacy and dignity restores some much-needed boundaries in a royal sphere that can feel overexposed. Critics, however, find her reticence off-putting and even disrespectful to a public that invests emotional capital in the monarchy. To these observers, Anne's aloofness might seem like a relic of an era when royals remained distant, unapproachable figures, monuments rather than people. But to Anne herself, it's a strategy for maintaining sanity and autonomy in a role that can devour both. In many ways, these revelations, her tension with Diana, her unflinching devotion to public duties, her unparalleled achievements on horseback, and her staunch media avoidance, form a tapestry of complexities that highlight the subtle paradoxes of Anne's life. She is at once a dedicated servant of the crown and a free spirit who has fought to define her own identity within a system that seldom encourages individuality. Her story challenges the viewer to appreciate that royals, too, must find their place in a changing world. By withstanding private tensions, working tirelessly to uphold civic responsibilities, excelling in demanding sports, and preserving a protective shield of personal privacy, Anne has forged a path that is both distinct and integral to the monarchy's evolving narrative. This complexity, this push and pull between public duty and private autonomy, illuminates a truth often overlooked, that royals are not static icons, but living individuals who adapt, struggle, and strive. Princess Anne's life, layered with nuance, contends that a royal can be both highly traditional and quietly rebellious, both dutiful and distant, both public figure and private individual. In doing so, she defies any attempt to categorize her too neatly, reminding us that behind every official portrait and ceremonial role, there lies a human being wrestling with expectations, insecurities, loyalties, and dreams. Her legacy, still unfolding, continues to challenge what it means to be a princess in the modern era. Princess Anne's no-nonsense attitude has long been a defining feature of her personality, and it has both endeared her to many and ruffled some feathers over the years. Known for her blunt honesty, plain-spoken manner, and steadfast refusal to mince words or conform to shallow social expectations, she stands out in a royal landscape often defined by careful diplomacy and polite ambiguity. This straightforward approach to life touches every aspect of her existence, from the way she conducts her public engagements to the way she manages her personal relationships. Anne has little patience for pomp and circumstance, preferring instead to cut through the layers of formalities and get straight to the heart of the matter at hand. This pragmatic mindset has served her well, allowing her to navigate the often complex world of royalty with a grounded and practical perspective. It also shows up in her personal style. While many members of the royal family are associated with elaborate gowns and painstakingly coordinated ensembles, Anne favors comfortable and functional attire, never feeling pressured to don the more ornate looks that tradition might dictate. In doing so, she quietly challenges the notion that a princess must conform to dazzling sartorial standards, proving that respect can be commanded through substance rather than surface-level glamour. This willingness to break from tradition and reject outdated expectations emerged in other aspects of her life too. In a notable departure from centuries of convention, Princess Anne became the first female member of the British royal family to attend a formal educational institution. Historically, royal children were educated privately within palace walls, shielded from outside influences and interactions. By enrolling at Benedin's School, a prestigious all-girls boarding school, Anne embraced a new era. This decision exposed her to a more diverse and inclusive educational environment and set a precedent for future generations of royal women to pursue mainstream schooling. It's important to consider the historical context here. The royal family had, for much of its existence, avoided such broad exposure for its young members. Anne's enrollment at Benedin subtly but meaningfully nudged the monarchy towards greater openness and acknowledged that the world had changed. This move laid the groundwork for a more modern kind of aristocratic upbringing, paving the way for other royal heirs, nieces, and granddaughters to benefit from a broader, more worldly education. Yet even as Anne tried to keep aspects of her life out of the spotlight, the reality of being a high-profile figure ensured that scandals and security concerns would occasionally thrust her into public view against her wishes. The most harrowing incident occurred in 1974 when she faced an actual kidnapping attempt. As her car traveled toward Buckingham Palace, a gunman ambushed the vehicle and demanded ransom for her safe return. Rather than succumb to terror, Anne displayed remarkable composure and quick thinking, managing to deflect the assailant's efforts to bundle her into his getaway car. This terrifying ordeal underscored the inherent risks attached to her royal status. Even as she tried to maintain a measured private existence, her public duties and lineage made her a target, reminding the world that the privileges of royalty also come with genuine and potentially life-threatening perils. This close call offered a stark contrast to the ceremonial splendor and strategic discretion that so often define life in the royal sphere, showing that behind every controlled public appearance, danger could lurk. In spite of such challenges, Anne's dedication to charitable work stands as a beacon of her true priorities. She has well over 300 organizations under her patronage, a staggering number that reflects a genuine hands-on commitment rather than a mere symbolic presence. Rather than remain a distant figurehead, Anne immerses herself in the causes she supports, often rolling up her sleeves and actively engaging with the organizations under her wing. She does not merely lend her name to these initiatives. She invests time and energy, fostering a deeper understanding of the issues at hand. The wide range of her patronages, from health and education initiatives to animal welfare and environmental conservation, speaks to her broad interests and concern for society's welfare at large. Over time, this approach has earned her widespread respect, even among those who might otherwise view the monarchy with skepticism. Observers can appreciate that Anne, rather than simply resting on titles or heritage, has transformed her royal position into a platform for tangible good, reminding people that authenticity, hard work, and moral commitment can elevate a public figure beyond the realm of ceremonial importance. Taken together, these elements of Anne's life, the forthright attitude that values directness over display, the landmark decision to pursue formal education outside palace gates, the raw courage displayed in moments of acute danger, and the unwavering devotion to charitable work, paint a portrait far more nuanced than the familiar cliché of a reserved, no-nonsense princess. The inclusion of historical nuance and personal risk adds complexity. This is a woman who, despite the heavy legacy of tradition and the scrutinizing gaze of the press, dares to live on her own terms. She has consistently pushed the boundaries of what it means to be a royal woman, whether by forging her own educational path, standing steadfastly in the face of life-threatening hazards, or reshaping the monarchy's role in philanthropic efforts. All the while, Anne's commitment to honesty, practicality, and service remains unbroken. By weaving these revelations together, we come to see Princess Anne not as a static figure predetermined by birthright, but as a layered individual shaped by the interplay of history, personal conviction, and worldly experience. Every instance, from her approach to personal style to her unwavering engagement with charities, contributes to a legacy that challenges preconceived notions of royalty. While many royals have struggled to find relevance and purpose in a rapidly changing world, Anne's life stands as an example of how one might forge relevance by staying true to one's own principles, embracing challenges head-on, and quietly expanding the definition of what a princess can be. Over the years, the bonds between Princess Anne and her siblings, particularly her brother King Charles III, have been tested by the unique pressures and demands of royal life. The world often imagines the British royal family as an unbreakable unit, but reality is more complicated. Anne's relationships with her brothers have weathered periods of tension and misunderstanding, strained at times by the relentless scrutiny that follows their every move. Each sibling has faced divergent perspectives on how best to fulfill their duties within an evolving monarchy, leading to occasional rifts and disagreements that have sometimes played out on a global stage. Centuries of tradition weigh heavily upon their shoulders, and the challenge of balancing personal convictions with public expectations can easily give rise to friction. Yet through all the struggles and adjustments, Anne has maintained a deep love and respect for her brothers, forged by shared experiences and the unbreakable ties of family. Over time, these relationships have evolved and strengthened as each sibling learned to navigate the intricacies of their roles while preserving the essence of their familial bonds. Their story reflects not only the complexities of royal existence, but also the universal truth that even those born into privilege must work to understand and support one another. In a domain often defined by centuries-old protocols, it might come as a surprise that Princess Anne has quietly left a distinctive imprint on the world of fashion. Although not traditionally regarded as a fashion icon, her unique and occasionally unconventional style choices have influenced and inspired observers. Appearing on the cover of British Vogue, for example, demonstrated her ability to effortlessly blend timeless elegance with a touch of modern flair. Anne's fashion statements have frequently defied traditional expectations, reflecting her individuality and willingness to chart her own course. From practical yet chic equestrian ensembles that pay homage to her sporting passions, to a penchant for bold patterns and vibrant colors, her sartorial preferences mirror her no-nonsense attitude and unshakable confidence. This capacity to transition seamlessly from formal royal engagements, where decorum rules every stitch of fabric, to casual outings where comfort matters most, has inspired countless women to embrace their personal style, free from the constraints of societal norms. By doing so, Anne quietly asserts that authenticity and practicality can be as regal as any crown. As she has progressed through various stages of her life, one role in particular has brought Princess Anne immense joy and fulfillment, that of a devoted grandmother. With several grandchildren from her children Peter and Zara, Anne has embraced the opportunity to form meaningful bonds with the next generation of her family. Despite a schedule packed with royal commitments and philanthropic endeavors, she makes time for family gatherings and events, cherishing the moments she can spend with these younger relatives. Behind the scenes, when not under the formal gaze of cameras, Anne's warm and affectionate nature shines through, setting aside the sometimes stoic demeanor she displays in public. Her approach to grandparenting is rooted in creating lasting memories, passing down cherished family traditions, and instilling values that will guide her grandchildren as they grow older. Whether it's sharing her love of horses and outdoor adventures, or imparting wisdom drawn from her own experiences, Anne plays an active role in shaping their lives. In a sense, this familial involvement also reflects how the monarchy itself evolves, passing lessons and ethics from one generation to the next, ensuring that the human connection remains at the monarchy's core, even as times change. To maintain the stamina required to keep up with her demanding schedule, Princess Anne adheres to a disciplined health regimen that prioritizes physical activity and overall well-being. This approach is hardly surprising given her lifelong passion for equestrian pursuits, a love that has played a significant role in keeping her physically fit. She continues to ride and participate in various equestrian activities, a testament to her enduring energy and enthusiasm. In addition to horses, Anne incorporates a variety of other exercises into her routine, from hiking and walking through serene estates and challenging trails, to strength training and cardiovascular workouts that keep her ready for the demands of public engagements. Her commitment to staying active and maintaining a healthy lifestyle is evident in the vigor and vitality she continues to display even as she enters her later years. Beyond physical exercise, she is also mindful of her diet, favoring nutritious and balanced meals that fuel her body and support her active lifestyle. By prioritizing her health, Anne has been able to preserve the rigorous pace that defines her service, ensuring that she can continue to fulfill her royal duties with the same dedication she has always exhibited. This devotion to wellness stands as another way in which she quietly exemplifies leadership, demonstrating that self-care is integral to carrying out the responsibilities of a role steeped in tradition and expectation. Princess Anne, like many members of the royal family, has long championed environmental conservation and sustainable practices, using her platform to highlight the urgency of issues such as climate change, deforestation, and the need to protect endangered species. Unlike those who merely lend their names to charitable causes, Anne has for decades consistently involved herself in tangible efforts, supporting numerous organizations and initiatives dedicated to preserving the natural world. She has served as patron of well-established groups including the Worldwide Fund for Nature, WWF, an organization formed in the early 1960s with a pioneering mission to safeguard Earth's biodiversity. Beyond attending high-profile events, Anne has been known to engage directly with experts, community leaders, and grassroots activists, encouraging eco-friendly practices and working to inspire real, lasting change. Her advocacy, grounded in a belief that stewardship of the planet transcends borders and generations, has reinforced the perception that this particular princess is dedicated not just to ceremonial duties, but to ensuring future prosperity through responsible environmental management. Over the course of her life, the public perception of Princess Anne has evolved dramatically. In her youth, she was often seen as a rebellious and outspoken figure, a royal who dared to challenge traditional norms and protocols with a forthright manner that both fascinated and unsettled observers. Stories of her candor and willingness to push back against rigid expectations marked her as a controversial presence at court, inspiring both criticism and admiration for her unapologetic authenticity. As time passed, however, Anne's relentless dedication to her public responsibilities, her charity work, and her quiet willingness to shoulder demands without complaint gradually reshaped how the public viewed her. Where once she was considered abrasive, she became respected for her unwavering work ethic, earning recognition as one of the hardest working members of the royal family, the sort of person who steps forward to get the job done, regardless of how challenging or unglamorous the task might be. This transformation in public opinion, from skeptical scrutiny to sincere appreciation, illustrates Anne's remarkable ability to adapt and thrive within the complex tapestry of royal life. Her steady commitment to her duties, even when confronted with personal challenges and media scrutiny, demonstrated dignity and grace that, in hindsight, underscored her resilience and deep sense of responsibility to the crown and the country. As Princess Anne's journey continues and her life story unfolds, her legacy is already firmly cemented as that of a trailblazer, a philanthropist, and a devoted member of the royal family. From her innovative work in education and sports, where she broke new ground in equestrian disciplines, even competing in the Olympics, to her unwavering commitment to public service, Anne's impact on the British monarchy and beyond is undeniable. In defiance of traditional expectations that might have encouraged a more passive decorative role, she carved out a unique identity that resonated with those who value authenticity and substance over superficial spectacle. Over the decades, Anne has faced controversies and challenges, some personal, some public, yet she has navigated them with a directness that eschews unnecessary fuss, opting instead for an approach that emphasizes resilience, honesty, and hard work. Her capacity to overcome adversity while maintaining her moral compass and sense of purpose has inspired countless individuals to appreciate the quieter forms of leadership that rely on deeds rather than mere words. And there you have it, 18 revelations that shine a brighter light on the life and character of Princess Anne, the often enigmatic and no-nonsense daughter of Queen Elizabeth II. Her journey has woven together triumphs and trials, controversies, and quiet achievements. From relationships that did not conform to fairy tale ideals, to remarkable sporting accomplishments and a steadfast dedication to charitable endeavors, Anne's path has been anything but ordinary. She has shown the world that a member of the royal family can care deeply about the environment, roll up her sleeves for hands-on work, challenge age-old perceptions, and embrace duty without losing her individuality. Were any of these details a surprise? Do they alter the way you see the Princess Royal and the monarchy's capacity to evolve and engage with contemporary issues? Feel free to share your thoughts and reactions in the comments below. If you found these insights valuable, consider leaving a like and subscribing for more deep dives into the hidden narratives behind the public faces of history's most enduring institutions. Thank you for watching, and until next time, may we all remember that even within the oldest traditions, there is room for reinvention and meaningful change.